Hey folks, Matt here, and today we're going to visit Paradise Found Records and Music here in Boulder, Colorado. We're going to talk to some people, we're going to check out some records. Definitely going to be a good time. Stick around. All right, so first thing first, love the store name. I share a last name with you. I don't know if you know that.
I know that. It's great.
Pretty amazing. And you're from New England. We could be related.
Exactly, but we're not.
But we're not. which is fun. The story of Paradise Found goes back to an older shop by another name, such being Bart's Record Shop. Can you tell me that story?
Yeah, sure. So Bart's Record Shop had been in business for over 30 years, and I was friends with Bart Stinchcomb, the owner of the record store. And I was retiring from my job, and I approached Bart about getting involved. And I gave him three options: be a partner, buy the store, or I would open up another store at some point down the road. And so he said, let me think about it. And he said, you know, I have bad luck with partners. I'm not ready to sell, and I can't control if you open a store. And so 2 weeks later, he called me and said, we're moving. And I was like, what? And so he moved in November of 2015, and then in February 2016, I officially bought the store.
During the pandemic, some locations opened up. And so we found this amazing place on Pearl. That's been a whole new world.
And it's been great. But it was just so, I mean, it was meant to be. I mean, the stars aligned, just had to do it, you know. And I've been collecting records since I was 8 years old, and so I've always wanted to, you know, work in a record store, own a record store. And after I retired, I wanted to have something to do, and so I bought the store.
You opened the store on April Fool's Day?
This store, when we moved here, we opened on April 1st, 2021. Yeah. And it was a good time. It just kind of worked out that way in terms of when.
Intentional.
Well, it was at that point. I have a good friend, Louis Karp, who started Waterloo Records in Austin. So he founded that and started that. And when he opened his store, he opened his on April 1st. And he lives here in Colorado, and he was helping me. And he said, gosh, you really should open on April 1st. And so we just sort of cemented that early on and said, we're going to open on April Fool's Day. And we had a great day. And it's been, business has been great since then.
Also like Apple Computer.
Oh, is that when they opened?
April 1st of 76.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
One difference from what I've heard of the old shop is that now there's not only a huge investment in the vinyl format, but also doing what it takes in the modern day to make that successful. That means regular social media presence, participating in record store day, even down to having a healthy stock of new titles. Yes. Can you talk about some of that?
Yeah, sure. You know, in the old store at the time, you know, people were still buying CDs. So initially at the store, we had of our inventory, about 75% of the inventory were CDs, and 25% was vinyl. Of that, about 10% was new vinyl. You know, in our store, I mean, you know, anybody that owns a record store knows, I mean, you don't make a lot of money off the new vinyl. Margins are tighter every year. And so, you know, new used vinyl is where, you know, you make the money. No one's ever going to get rich owning a record store. If you didn't know that, let me just clue everybody in. But you can do fine. And so we made a commitment early on to just expand the vinyl, move out of the CDs. CDs, which were, you know, close to 55% of the sales when I bought the business, are now under 1% of sales here. And even selling CDs at $3 or 4 for $10, nobody really wants to buy them. So vinyl's taking off. So we did that. Social media, specifically Instagram, has been great for us. We have over 4,000 Instagram followers now, and we constantly post new arrivals every Thursday for sale on Friday. We post, and we pretty much try to do a daily post on used records, so people can come in, they can either call, reserve it for 24 hours, pay over the phone, or it just helps bring people in the store. So that's been great. But I think the biggest thing that drives our business is just service. You know, we have 9 folks here that are all passionate about music. They're outstanding service skills. love talking about music, and they're super helpful. And there's the high fidelity stereotype about music stores being unfriendly and judgmental and all that. And of course, some of that always will exist no matter what the store is. But we've really tried to go out of our way to focus on the customers first and information, and take care of them, take pictures of things and send them texts of like, I know you love this. Take lists of stuff people are looking for. We keep them in back, and we call them and say, hey, your album came in. If you want it, come on in.
Now at this shop, not only do we have more room for more titles, but I've been able to expand on the stuff I'm bringing in. I've been able to like go out a little bit further in different genres and get stuff that I really like, but I'm not sure if other people might like. So it's been really cool to do that, because I'll go out on a limb and get something in, and then it'll sell. And I'm like, okay, cool. If someone like that, maybe they'll like this. So I keep kind of going out a little bit further every time these different titles sell. And it's so just over the last year, I've been able to go to smaller and smaller labels to and get more variety of genres and titles in, which has been really cool.
Including heavy metal, which is a lot of my audience.
Yeah.
I noticed you have a great curated heavy metal section.
Cool.
I was really enjoying it. I've already put records away that I'm buying.
Awesome.
So there's that.
Awesome.
So,
yeah.
Pretty great.
Again, stereotypically is that so many customers tend to be older males. That's changing. It's changed dramatically here, where I would say our customer base is pretty much 50-50 men and women, and and instead of being all men over 50 years old, we have high school kids, college kids, and everybody coming in. But the thing about a lot of these collectors, many of them are very introverted, and they are people that they're introverted, and they're people that want to they don't want to talk about anything, but if you talk about music, they can talk about music all day.
So one thing I noticed is that you also carry unofficial releases. You have a section over here of live radio broadcasts. Some shops sell those, some don't, and I was wondering what you think about stores avoiding stocking them, why they do that,
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Yeah, I think there's several reasons. First off, I think for many people there can be a sound quality issue associated with some of those. So for us, we tell people, like, any record you buy, if it doesn't sound the way you want, you just return it, and then we return it. So that takes that off the board. And then I think for some folks there would look at it as, well, those are bootleg records or whatever. And, I think the way we look at it is, we've got like 100 of those records in the store at any time. Usually maybe 5 by one artist. There's not that many. And it's a way that people can get introduced to the music, or maybe they had just seen them live and they want to get a recording of something like that. And so, I don't know, I've always felt that it should just be about choice, and so people can make a choice. They can buy it or not buy it, and then we try to just take the concern out around the sound quality by return it if you don't like the sound. Yeah.
So one thing I never knew about until recently is that Boulder once had the most record stores per capita than anywhere in the United States,
Yes.
which is amazing.
Amazing.
What was that even like?
Yeah, I moved here 22 years ago, so there weren't, it wasn't like it was in the 80s, 70s and 80s. But, there were still a number of stores there, and, there's still today, there's only 108,000 people that live in Boulder. So, there's 2 official record stores in Boulder. There's some other places that sell records, if you Target or Barnes & Noble, or, a shop up the street, Poster Shop that focuses on posters. But there's just 2 designated record stores in Boulder today. So it's sad to see. We want to see vinyl stick around. Obviously, there's been a resurgence. That doesn't mean that there'll always be a resurgence. I think it'll always be around, but what is that next format that's out there that people are going to be adapting? So, but, when I first moved to Boulder, and Bart's used to be up the street, and Albums on the Hill was happening, Trade a Tape used to be here. There were places, and so you just had more choices,
Being the manager buyer, I'm also working on in-stores and getting national bands to start doing some in-stores here while they're playing Boulder Theater. So we definitely want to have a lot more community interaction.
Our anniversary this year on April 1st, we had 4 different bands playing here. We built a stage in the back that we so that we could have in-store performances here. We've probably done it 4 or 5 times, but we have one coming up here in just a couple weeks, then the following week, and we're going to try to just make that more of a focus here because A, we want to support the local musicians here, B, give entertainment for all of the customers coming in, but the other part is that the store feels so much different when there's live music in it. I mean, we have a great stereo in here, but there's nothing like seeing the live music. Yeah.
I think one cool aspect of the shop, and I guess all the shops in Boulder, it's more Boulder as a city, is that there's a lot of people that come through here that might not stay that long, but from all over the world. And so I'm always surprised by the records that come through here, you know, whether it's some kind of rare Italian soundtrack or something like that comes through, or some kind of world music from Africa, rare Afrobeat or something, you know. It just always surprises me, you know, something like that, you know, maybe I've been looking for, I see on someone else's list, and I'm like, wow, I'm only gonna see that if I go, you know, overseas or something, and then all of a sudden it'll come in a collection. It's the most random thing, and sometimes it's like that's the only good thing in the collection, and it's this amazing, you know, record. So, yeah, Boulder's a pretty interesting mesh of cultures. So that's a pretty fun piece about the shop.
This was in the old location. It was a snowy day, and I was sorting the 45s, and we had so many 45s. It was like the Tribbles episode of Star Trek. There just were more and more and more. We had like 30,000 45s. There's not a big market for 45s. So anyways, I was going through them all. You know, some of them just needed to be culled. They were never going to sell. So I was in there. I was in the old floor. It was a store. It was a snowy day, and I had them all spread out. I had boxes piled. I had literally thousands of 45s on the floor in my hand, sorting them. Woman comes in. Oh, you have singles? Yeah. I'm like, I've been looking for this one forever. I'm sorting, and I'm like, what is it? And she's like, 99 Luft Balloons by Nina. And I was like, it's right here. It was in my hand. Wow. There are more synchronistic moments that have happened in this record store in 6.5 years for me than have happened in my entire life. And it's just, so, I don't know, it's just so much fun. It happens all the time. People come in and they're like, I'm looking for this used record. Steely Dan Gaucho 2 weeks ago. It's like, we don't have any, it doesn't come in that often. Of course, the guy leaves later that day, comes in, I call him on the phone, he comes in, he picks it up. That stuff happens all the time. But that one with the 45, it was literally in my hand. That was, still to this day, gets me excited, you know. Yeah, it was very cool.
So I've got a few notes here I want to go through, basically my observations, visiting the shop and shooting there. Because I was there before and after they opened, I got to see what the start of a business day looked like for them, and business is actually pretty good. There were folks actually waiting at the door for it to open, and I was shooting on a Friday and not a weekend, which is pretty amazing. So that's pretty cool to see. I also took note of when a customer would come in, the clerk would say, "Welcome to Paradise." I kind of dig that for obvious reasons. So if you're in the Boulder area and you do visit Paradise Found, some things I would strongly recommend. First, don't just limit yourself to the metal and live radio broadcast sections, because I did find a number of classic metal and hard rock albums in the general rock and pop section, so look there as well. Likewise, some of the live radio broadcast records might also be in the respective band sections, so keep that in mind too. And again, I cannot stress how friendly and engaging the staff of Paradise Found is. If you want to talk vinyl or bands or a certain genre, there's likely a staff member there who will oblige you. Highly knowledgeable folks too. No music snobs or hipsters or any of that kind of crap to be found anywhere, so feel free to chat these folks up. They're actually pretty cool. Especially Sean. He's a passionate old school metal fan like a lot of us, and he really knows his stuff, so if you want to talk metal, Sean's your guy. Of course, jokes such as, "What will Paradise find?" were going around social media when I announced that I was doing a video like this. Kind of figured that would happen. Speaking of which, I did buy some records, and I'll be talking about those in a future episode of Vinyl Haul, so definitely check back in for that. Of course, I'd also like to thank Will and Patrick of Paradise Found for letting me interview them, for letting me shoot around the shop. The employees were likewise pretty amenable to me getting in their way and getting around them and stuff with cameras and all that, so I definitely want to thank them. They were even kind enough to open up an hour and a half early for me let me shoot around before they let people in officially, so very cool folks. I highly recommend you go to this shop. Of course, I don't just do videos on record stores, I also cover the subject of metal vinyl collecting here at the Accusation Network. Each and every week I do videos. I also do videos on classic and modern metal bands in general. If that sounds great, definitely subscribe to this channel, give me one of these, and share the video with some friends. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.